How to Recognize the 7 Earliest Signs of Kidney Failure Detailed Guide by Dr. David. Hello everyone, I am Dr. David. In more than 2 decades of practicing medicine, I have witnessed thousands of patients facing the diseases of old age. But there is a harsh truth that I must share frankly. Most of us will experience a decline in kidney function once we pass the age of 60. It is a law of time, much like a machine used for a long time whose parts must eventually wear out. However, there is a huge difference. There are those who, despite being 80 years old, have kidneys that still operate durably like a high-end filter. Meanwhile, many people at only 60 have had to attach their lives to a cold dialysis machine. Whether that decline is fast or slow is entirely in your hands. Do you know that the kidneys are the most patient organs in the body? They work silently, filtering toxins without complaining. By the time they cry out clearly, such as through pain or total exhaustion, it is usually when 70 to 80% of their function is already gone. Most people only realize they are sick when they are standing at the door of the dialysis room. Do not let yourself fall into that tragedy. Today, I will teach you how to listen to the voice of your kidneys through 7 early warning signals that 90% of people often ignore because they think they are just signs of aging or normal stress. Before we dive deep into the miraculous structure of this 200-liter per day blood filter, please take 3 seconds to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Why? Because the medical knowledge I share today can help you avoid medical nightmares in the next 10 or 20 years. Be the master of your own health right now. Let us begin with sign 1, foamy urine. Recall the last time you went to the bathroom. Did you look back at the toilet before flushing? I know this sounds strange, but for a doctor, it is the most honest report on your health. Is the urine foamy? If the bubbles dissipate quickly within a few seconds, it is fine. But if it is persistent, white, and piled up like dish soap suds, use extreme caution. Inside each of your kidneys, there are about 1 million microscopic filtering units called nephrons. Each nephron has a part called the glomerulus. Imagine it as an extremely sophisticated flour sieve. When the sieve is new and healthy, the filter holes are very small, only allowing water, salt, and tiny waste products to pass through to form urine. It keeps precious molecules like protein, albumin, in the blood to nourish the body. But when the sieve is torn or damaged, usually by diabetes or high blood pressure ravaging it silently over many years, the filter holes become dilated. At this point, protein, specifically albumin, will leak through the sieve and fall into the urine. Why does it create foam? When protein comes into contact with air and the water stream, it changes the surface tension, creating stable foam bubbles exactly like the way soap works. Dangerous pathological cycle. Losing protein not only makes your body weak due to a lack of nutrients. The real danger lies in this. When this excess protein spills through the tiny kidney tubules on its way out, it causes inflammation and fibrosis of those very tubules. Creates a loop. Damaged kidneys leak protein dash. Protein damages the remaining parts of the kidneys. Do not just look with your eyes. If you see foam appearing continuously for more than a week, go to a medical facility and request a 24-hour urine protein test. This is the only way to accurately quantify how much of your flour is being lost. Sign 2, swollen ankles. Do you see your legs swelling unusually at the end of the day? When you wear socks, do you see deep indentations on your ankles? Many people think it is from standing too long or hot weather causing blood vessels to dilate. That may be true, but if you use your finger to press on the swollen area and it leaves a deep, slow-to-disappear pit, we call this pitting edema, then it is a warning that your kidneys are exhausted. Let us go back to the story of losing protein above. In our blood, albumin acts like a water-holding magnet. It creates a type of pressure called oncotic pressure to keep fluid inside the blood vessels. When the kidneys are damaged and allow too much albumin to escape into the urine, the concentration of albumin in the blood drops. The magnet weakens and water is no longer held inside the blood vessels, but leaks out into the interstitial space, the space between cells. The role of sodium, salt-damaged kidneys no longer have the ability to excrete excess salt effectively. Where salt goes, water follows. This accumulation of salt and water, combined with the effect of gravity, causes fluid to sink to the lowest part of the body when you stand or sit. That is the ankles and feet. How to distinguish. Edema caused by the kidneys is usually symmetrical on both sides. If you see swelling in the morning when you first wake up, especially swelling of the eyelids, and swollen ankles at the end of the day, along with salty eating making the condition worse, then there is a high probability it is edema due to the kidneys and not just simple venous insufficiency. Sign 3. Deep exhaustion. This sign is the most talented deceiver. You feel tired, sluggish, and no matter how much you sleep, it is never enough. You blame stress, work, or being 70 years old. But listen carefully. Kidney-related fatigue is not the tiredness after a night of poor sleep. It is a heaviness in every breath, a feeling of depletion from within the cells. Hormone erythropoietin, EPO, the red blood cell factory. Few people know that the kidneys are not just filters. They are also an extremely important endocrine organ. The kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin, EPO. This hormone is like an officer ordering the bone marrow to produce red blood cells. Kidney-related anemia mechanism. When kidney function declines, EPO production stalls. Lacking EPO, the bone marrow goes on strike, leading to a severe decrease in red blood cells in the blood, anemia. Red blood cells are the vehicles that carry oxygen to nourish the entire body. When there are not enough vehicles to carry oxygen, your heart and lungs must work twice or 3 times as hard to compensate. The result is that you are always in a state of suffocation even while sitting still. Specific manifestations: difficulty concentrating, slow thinking, brain lacks oxygen, pale eye membranes and lips, feeling short of breath, rapid heart rate even when climbing a few stairs. Because this condition occurs very slowly, your body will adapt gradually, making you mistakenly believe you are just getting older naturally. Do not be fooled. Sign 4. Nighttime urination, nocturia. If you are over 50 and occasionally wake up to urinate once a night, that might be normal. But if you have to get up 3, 4, or 5 times and your sleep is completely torn apart, then it is a signal that your kidneys are losing their ability to concentrate urine. Hormone ADH and concentrating ability. Normally, the body has a very smart mechanism. At night, the brain releases the hormone ADH, antidiuretic hormone, to tell the kidneys to reabsorb water into the blood, making the urine concentrated and less in volume so you can sleep soundly for 6 to 8 hours. However, when the kidney tubules are damaged, they become deaf to the signals from ADH. The kidneys can no longer hold water back. They just discharge water indiscriminately, causing the bladder to fill quickly and forcing you to wake up. The devastating cycle of fatigue. Frequent nighttime urination causes insomnia. Insomnia increases stress levels and causes high blood pressure. High blood pressure continues to pour terrible pressure onto the glomeruli, destroying the remaining nephrons. This is a downward spiral that, if not interrupted, will lead you to end-stage renal failure very quickly. Dear friends, we have just gone through the first 4 signs closely related to the filter and the fluid balance in the body. Do you see yourself in any of those signs? Do not panic too much, but absolutely do not be subjective. Your body is sending out life-saving codes. We move on to the 3 strangest signs, things you would never think are caused by the kidneys. Sign 5. Puffy eyes in the morning. We start with a location that you probably look at in the mirror every day but often blame in the wrong way. The eyes. You wake up, look in the mirror, and see your eyelids swollen as if you just had a big cry or a sleepless night. You click your tongue. Probably just because I'm old, the skin is sagging. But stop for a moment. This could be the first cry for help from the kidney's protein filtration system. Why the eyes? The skin around the eyes is the thinnest, most sensitive, and most elastic area on the entire human body. It is like a balloon that is very easily inflated by fluid. As I explained in part 1 about albumin, the water-holding magnet. When the kidneys are damaged and leak a large amount of protein into the urine, the concentration of protein in the blood decreases. At this point, the water in the blood vessels no longer has a guard. It flows freely out into the interstitial spaces. At night, when you are lying in a horizontal position, gravity no longer pulls water down to your legs like during the day. The fluid is now distributed evenly throughout the body. And because the tissue around the eyes is so loose, water will accumulate here and create the puffiness that medical science calls periorbital edema. Distinction to save your life. I want you to remember this to avoid confusion. If swollen on one side, usually a local issue like conjunctivitis, cosmetic allergy, or infection. If swollen equally on both sides, and especially if it is most swollen when you first wake up, then gradually decreases in the afternoon when you stand up and move around, water moves down to the legs. This is the classic sign of kidney disease. Do not underestimate puffy eyes. It is not just an aesthetic issue. It is evidence that your kidney is missing the catch and dropping the most precious nutrients that nourish the body. Sign 6. Muscle cramps. Have you ever been sleeping soundly when suddenly your calf muscle cramps up rock hard? So painful that you have to jump up and scream? You ask your neighbor and they say, "It's a calcium deficiency. Buy some medicine and take it." But you take it and it never goes away. Why is that? Because the problem is not how much calcium you are putting in, but whether your kidneys are able to keep it. Our muscles need extremely precise electrical signals to contract or relax. These signals are controlled by electrolytes: sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and phosphate. The kidneys are the conductor that keeps the concentration of these substances at the most perfect level. When the kidneys weaken, the electrolyte musical score begins to fall into chaos. Low calcium. The kidneys are where vitamin D is activated, so the body can absorb calcium. Damaged kidneys equals low blood calcium equals muscles are overstimulated, causing continuous contractions. High potassium. This is the most frightening thing. The kidneys cannot excrete excess potassium from food, like bananas, oranges. High blood potassium disrupts the electrical signals of the heart and muscles, leading to severe cramps and even cardiac arrest. Phosphate accumulation. When the kidneys cannot filter phosphate, it will automatically pull calcium out of the bones to balance it, making cramps worse and your bones brittle and easily broken. Nighttime muscle cramps are not simply muscle fatigue. They are a sign that the chemical environment inside your body is being poisoned because the kidneys are no longer able to regulate electrolytes. Sign 7. Persistent itchy skin. This last sign is what I call the silent nightmare. I have received patients who scratched until their skin was bleeding and covered in scars, but they still did not stop scratching. They go to the dermatologist month after month, year after year, applying all sorts of medications but with no relief. Why? Because that itch is not on the surface of the skin. It is deep within the contaminated bloodstream. Uremic pruritus, itching from toxins. In medicine, we call this itching due to high urea in the blood. When the kidneys are damaged, they cannot clean out metabolic waste products, especially phosphate and urea. These toxins accumulate excessively in the blood. Then they find a way out by depositing into the tissues under the skin. There, they directly stimulate sensory nerve endings, creating a terrible itchy sensation, as if thousands of ants are crawling under your skin. Kidney failure also causes another consequence: serious water imbalance. While your legs are swollen because of water retention, your skin suffers from cellular dehydration. The skin becomes dry, flaky, and loses its natural protective layer, making the itching more devastating. If you have itching all over your body, itching without a clear rash, itching that is worse at night and does not respond to common topical medications, go check your kidney function immediately. Do not let toxins ravage your body for one more day. Dear friends, we have gone through the journey of 7 warning signals. From foamy urine, swollen ankles, deep fatigue, nighttime urination, puffy eyes, muscle cramps to persistent itchy skin. All of these are the anxious whispers of the kidneys. Our bodies are extremely intelligent. They always warn you in advance. Do not wait until the kidneys scream with renal colic or when your breath smells strongly of ammonia before you go to the hospital. At that point, the price to be paid is not just money, but the quality of life in your elderly years. What is our action plan? I want you to remember these 3 survival rules. Rule 1, check immediately. If you notice you have even just 1 or 2 signs out of the 7 mentioned above, go to the nearest medical facility immediately. Just a blood test to measure the creatinine index and a simple urine test, and you will know exactly where your kidneys stand. Rule 2. Stop the killer. High blood pressure and diabetes are the 2 most brutal killers of the kidneys. Control them strictly as you control your own breath. If your blood pressure is high, the kidney filters will soon be torn apart. Rule 3. Beware of poisons in disguise. Be extremely cautious with NSAID pain relievers, like ibuprofen, naproxen, and traditional medicines of unknown origin. They can cause a weakening kidney to fall straight into acute failure after just a few doses. Dear friends, the two kidneys are not just excretory organs. They are the emeralds that maintain the balance and purity of your life. 100 years old is not a distant dream if you know how to cherish and listen to your body starting today. I hope today's content has given you a completely different perspective on your kidneys. If you found this knowledge useful, please help me by liking and sharing this video with your loved ones, especially those who have entered their later years. One act of sharing can save someone's kidneys. Let us commit together by commenting below. I will listen to my body so that we can create a healthy, knowledgeable community together. And do not forget to click the subscribe button to support Dr. David in making more detailed and passionate videos like this. Thank you for listening. Wish you all health, peace, and happiness on the journey to longevity. See you in the next videos.